There is a township outside Pittsburgh where police logged roughly 5 violent crimes last year across a population of 15,000, and it sits 25 minutes from downtown. It is one of 12 places in Pennsylvania where the numbers look like that, and a few of them cost a lot less than you would guess. This countdown runs from townships where the typical house sells in the low 200,000s to communities where it clears 800,000, and the safety numbers between them are closer than the price tags suggest. So wherever your budget lands, there is very likely something on this list for you. Number 12. Murrysville, in Westmoreland County. Murrysville sits about 20 miles east of Pittsburgh along Route 22, just over the Allegheny County line, and that county line does you a favor. Crossing it means you skip Allegheny's extra 1% sales tax and its higher wage and property assessments. It is a big part of why a town with genuinely good schools and genuinely low crime still sells houses at a median of about $365,000, with homes moving in under a month. The safety numbers are excellent. Roughly 2 violent incidents per 10,000 residents and about 230 property crimes per 100,000, which puts total crime close to 80% below the Pennsylvania average, according to Area Vibe's compilation of FBI reporting. Homeownership runs near 89%, which tells you people buy here and stay. Median household income clears $100,000, and the municipal millage sits at just over 12. For context, the statewide median home price is about $330,000, so Murrysville runs only slightly above Pennsylvania as a whole while delivering crime numbers far below it. The schools are Franklin Regional, an A on niche, with roughly 63% math proficiency and 74% reading proficiency. Those are strong numbers for a district outside the wealthy collar counties. What you get physically is room to breathe. Large lots, wooded parcels, and Duff Park, one of the largest municipal parks in the state, sitting right inside township limits with miles of trails through old-growth forest. Murrysville is an upper-middle-class community on Pittsburgh's eastern edge, close enough that the city is an easy evening out and far enough that you get actual quiet. It is a driving town rather than a walking one, and Pittsburgh is 30 to 35 minutes off, so this suits people who want space more than they want a downtown at the end of the block. If your priority list reads land, schools, low taxes, low crime, Murrysville checks every box at a price that has not caught up to the North Hills yet. Number 11. Mount Lebanon in Allegheny County. Mount Lebanon is the one place on this list where you could realistically live without a car, and that makes it special. The T, Pittsburgh's light rail, runs the red line straight through the township and into downtown, 5 to 7 miles away. Nothing else in this countdown offers that. City data puts the crime index at 58 against a national figure of 235, so roughly a quarter of the American average. The police department is state accredited. About 33,000 people live here, and it has been a fixture near the top of Pennsylvania safety rankings for years. Median home and condo value runs around $415,000, with some sources closer to $475,000, and median rent near $1,700 a month. Median household income is $128,000, per capita income is $76,000, and the cost of living sits right at the national average. The rental market here is deeper than most suburbs on this list, which makes it one of the few places you can try before you buy. The school district is Mount Lebanon, an A+ on niche, and one of the most respected in western Pennsylvania. It is the reason a lot of families happily take on an older house here. This is also the strongest retirement pick on the list, and Pennsylvania helps with that. The state does not tax retirement income at all, not Social Security, not pensions, not distributions from a 401k or an IRA. Pair that with light rail and a walkable Main Street, and you have a place you can age into rather than out of. The best part is Washington Road. There is a real business district with bars, restaurants, coffee shops, bookstores, and people actually walking around on a weeknight. Tree-lined streets, a strong sense of community, and a township that has been at this long enough to have its traditions figured out. If you want walkability and transit without giving up the safety numbers, this is the answer in Pennsylvania. Number 10. Shaler Township in Allegheny County. Shaler is the value story of the Pittsburgh Metro, and it might be the most quietly practical place on this entire list. Violent crime runs about 5 incidents per 10,000 residents. Property crime about 56 per 10,000. Both are low. Shaler slipped a few spots in this year's rankings, which is normal movement in a township this size where a handful of incidents shifts the rate. 26,800 people sitting 6 to 10 miles north of downtown Pittsburgh, which is one of the shortest commutes in the whole countdown. Home values sit largely in the 200,000s, on a list where 500,000 shows up over and over. Median household income lands in the 70,000s, and most residents here own rather than rent. That last number is worth pausing on because it means Shaler is not an enclave. It is a regular, working, middle-class township that happens to be very safe, and if you are not walking in with a 6-figure household income, that matters enormously. The schools are Shaler area, a B+, rated above average, with roughly 52% math and 62% reading proficiency. Good, solid schools that serve the community well. What you get is an established, tree-lined suburb with genuine character. Neighborhood bars and restaurants, a community pool, and the Shaler North Hills Library, which has won awards and functions as a real gathering place rather than just a building with books in it. The housing stock is older, which means charm, mature trees, sidewalks, and in some cases a project or two. There are pockets here where you can walk to a coffee shop, which is rare at this price point. The mix of residents skews toward young professionals and retirees, which makes for a stable, quiet township where people know their neighbors. For a family that wants a short Pittsburgh commute, low crime, decent schools, and a mortgage under $300,000, this is one of the best combinations anywhere in the region. Number 9. Cranberry Township in Butler County. Cranberry has the lowest violent crime rate of any municipality in this countdown. 1 incident per 10,000 residents across a population of nearly 35,000, with no robberies and no motor vehicle thefts in the reporting data at all. Its property crime rate looks higher than its neighbors at 70 per 1,000, and there is a friendly explanation for that. Cranberry is a regional shopping and employment hub. Cranberry Woods Corporate Park is here. Westinghouse employs people here, and shoppers drive in from 3 counties. Retail centers absorb shoplifting, and shoplifting is property crime, so incidents committed largely by visitors get divided by a population of residents. The neighborhoods themselves are quiet. Median home value is $396,000, median rent about $1,619. Median household income is $125,000. Poverty around 4.4%. Butler County wage and property taxes run lower than Allegheny's, and because you are outside Allegheny, you skip its extra sales tax percentage on everything you buy. For a household spending regularly, that adds up over a year. Schools are mostly Seneca Valley, an A-, and one of the largest districts in western Pennsylvania. Parts of the township feed North Allegheny, Mars, and Pine Richland instead, so check the boundary before you fall in love with a house. North Catholic High School is here too for families who want a private option close by. 20 to 23 minutes to downtown Pittsburgh on Interstate 79, with the Pennsylvania Turnpike right there as well, so weekend trips in any direction are simple. Extensive parks including Community Park and North Boundary Park, with trails, fields, and a community water park. Whatever you need on a Saturday, from a hardware store to a decent dinner, is within about 10 minutes. That convenience is the whole appeal, and it is why Cranberry has become one of the fastest-growing suburbs in Pennsylvania. For families who want new construction, modern amenities, jobs nearby, and the lowest violent crime rate on this entire countdown, it is an easy recommendation. Number 8. Upper Allen Township in Cumberland County. Now we cross the state to the Harrisburg West Shore, and the economics get friendlier fast. Upper Allen posts 8 violent incidents per 10,000 residents and 35 property crimes per 10,000 across 24,000 people, and its property crime has declined 3 years running. That downward trend is a good sign in a township that has been adding residents. Area home values run around $413,000, and cost of living sits close to the national average, which in central Pennsylvania means your dollar covers noticeably more house than it would outside Philadelphia. Median household income clears $100,000. There is a program worth knowing about if you are older or on a fixed income. Pennsylvania's property tax and rent rebate sends eligible seniors and disabled residents between $380 and $1,000 a year. And in a township with this many retirees, plenty of people here are using it. Schools are Mechanicsburg area, in the B+ to A- range, and Messiah University sits right next door, which brings concerts, lectures, and sports into the neighborhood. The employment base is Harrisburg government, healthcare, and education, and that kind of steady, recession-resistant work is exactly what tends to show up as stability a decade later. The township has been investing. Winding Hills Park with its fishing pond and disc golf, Generations Park with its fields and playgrounds, new trails, and new retail going in along the main corridors. Sparse suburban streets, a comfortable mix of young families and retirees, and a pace that suits people who want their weekends back. Mechanicsburg proper is right there with a walkable Main Street, and Harrisburg's restaurants, minor league baseball, and riverfront are 15 minutes away. You get small-town living with real city amenities close enough to use on a weeknight. Upper Allen does not get written about much, and that is part of the charm. It is a quiet, well-run township with good schools, a stable economy, and prices that leave room in the budget for the rest of your life. Number 7. Newtown Township in Bucks County. Newtown is the postcard entry on this list. 3 violent incidents per 10,000 residents across 23,000 people, with 0 rapes in the reporting data. Property crime runs 52 per 10,000. The median single-family home sold for about $650,000 in the first quarter of this year, with listings commonly running between $550,000 and $900,000. Condos and townhomes start around $375,000, which is a real entry point if you want the address without the acreage. Median household income is $147,000. Council Rock School District is a major draw. Niche gives it an A, ranks it in the top 3% statewide, and the graduation rate is 96%. Bucks County Community College's main campus sits in the township too, which is a genuine asset for families thinking about the years after high school and for anyone who wants to pick up a class in the evening. What makes Newtown special is next door. Newtown Borough is one of the best preserved historic main streets in eastern Pennsylvania, with brick sidewalks, independent shops, and restaurants people drive in from other counties for. The look has landed it in film productions more than once. Tyler State Park is minutes away, with 1,700 acres of trails along Neshaminy Creek. Interstate 95 puts Philadelphia 20 miles off, 35 to 45 minutes in normal traffic, and Manhattan is 80 miles up the road, which is why you meet so many New York and New Jersey transplants at the farmers market. Budget roughly $8,000 a year in property taxes on a median home, and know that the poverty rate here is 5.5%, low but not the lowest on this list. Retail and everyday services cluster along Route 532, so you are not driving far for groceries. If you want a walkable historic town, top-tier schools, and access to 2 major cities, Newtown delivers all 3. Number 6. Franklin Park in Allegheny County. Franklin Park has one of the lowest poverty rates in Pennsylvania at 0.7%, and property crime here is genuinely low at 23 incidents per 10,000, with no motor vehicle thefts reported at all. Violent crime comes in at 7 per 10,000 across a population of just under 15,000, which is small enough that a handful of incidents moves the rate, so treat any single year here as a snapshot rather than a trend. Median home value ran about $517,000 in the most recent city data figures, with median gross rent around $2,400 a month, which is high for the Pittsburgh region and reflects how little rental stock exists out here. Census-based estimates put the value closer to $369,000, and that gap turns up all over this list because census figures ask homeowners what they think their house is worth while market figures record what buyers actually paid. Median household income is $182,000, among the highest in the Pittsburgh region. The schools are North Allegheny, an A+, with a graduation rate near 97%, and great schools ratings that have hit a perfect 10. This is one of the most sought-after districts in western Pennsylvania, and it drives a lot of the demand here. Physically, Franklin Park is wooded and low density, with a genuinely rural feel just 11 to 13 miles from downtown Pittsburgh. Deer in the yard, big trees, winding roads, and neighborhoods that were laid out to preserve the tree line rather than clear it. Interstate 79 and 279 make the commute 20 to 25 minutes. There is bus service downtown from a nearby park and ride, and Pittsburgh International Airport is about 19 miles away, which frequent travelers appreciate. Budget for the taxes. The effective property tax rate runs around 1.3%, which works out to roughly $6,900 a year on a mortgaged median home. Build that into the monthly number early, and the rest of the math works out fine. If you want land and quiet without giving up an easy trip into the city, this is a strong fit. Number 5. The Northern Regional Communities in Allegheny County. This entry is 4 municipalities working together. Northern Regional Police, headquartered in Wexford with about 40 officers, covers Pine Township, Marshall Township, Richland Township, and the borough of Bradford Woods, plus contracted service to 7 fields. 38,500 people in total, and combining departments this way gives them better coverage and cleaner reporting than 4 small forces could manage on their own. 4 violent incidents per 10,000 residents. 31 property crimes per 10,000. Richland Township rounds out the group on the northern end, and 7 fields buys coverage under contract, which is how a lot of smaller Pennsylvania boroughs get full-time policing without funding a department alone. Pine Township is the premium address. Single-family homes run between $654,000 and $807,000 depending on the source, with something around $725,000 as a fair center. Marshall Township's median sits closer to $534,000. Pine Township's median household income is $184,591, one of the highest figures in western Pennsylvania, and Marshall runs about $145,000. Pine and Richland feed Pine Richland School District, an A on niche with a high school ranked around 38th in the state. Marshall feeds North Allegheny, which is the A+ district you will hear about again in a moment, so families here get one of 2 excellent options depending on which side of the line they buy. This is the North Hills at its most polished. Corporate parks that mean you might work 5 minutes from home, the Pine Community Center with its pools and courts and year-round programming, well-funded schools, and 20 minutes to downtown on Interstate 79. Bradford Woods is the smallest piece of the group, a tiny borough of large wooded lots that feels like a forest with houses in it. Everything is new, everything is maintained, and the whole area is built around families. Youth sports here are a genuine institution, and if you have kids in that stage of life, you will find a program for whatever they want to try. Number 4. Warwick Township in Bucks County. Warwick calls itself the heart of Bucks, and it earns the name. 2 violent incidents per 10,000 residents across 14,700 people. No robberies in the reporting data, 37 property crimes per 10,000, and a poverty rate of 2.8%. Market listings put the median around $569,000, while the census figure sits at 338,200. Median household income is 104,000. There is one local quirk worth knowing, and it works in your favor. Central Bucks School District levies around 138 mills, which looks alarming until you learn that Bucks County assesses property at roughly 4.5% of market value. The effective rate ends up far lower than the millage suggests. It is a good reminder to check the assessment ratio before comparing tax rates between Pennsylvania counties, because the raw millage number can tell you almost nothing on its own. Central Bucks is the school district, an A on niche, one of the largest and most respected in the state, and Central Bucks East carries an A+ on its own. The history here is real. The Continental Army camped in Warwick in 1777, and the Moland House still stands, restored and open, where Washington met with Lafayette. The township runs semi-rural to suburban, with horse properties, preserved open space, and quiet roads. Doylestown is close for dinner and a museum. SEPTA regional rail runs out of neighboring Warminster, and Philadelphia is 45 minutes to an hour away. One small note. There is a second Warwick Township over in Lancaster County, so double-check which one you are looking at. Number 3. Westtown and East Goshen in Chester County. Another regional department covering 2 townships, 29,610 residents between them. 2 violent incidents per 10,000 people, with 0 rapes and 0 robberies in the underlying data, and 35 property crimes per 10,000. This is Philadelphia's western edge, wrapped around the borough of West Chester. East Goshen's median sold price ran about $486,000 in late 2024, with listings pushing past $525,000 last year. Westtown runs higher, with Neighborhood Scout citing a median near $888,000, which reflects the larger estate properties out that way. Median household income in Westtown is $138,664, and East Goshen runs $106,866, so these are 2 different price points inside one police jurisdiction. East Goshen is where you look if you want the address without the estate budget. West Chester Area School District earns an A and ranks around 22nd in the state, serving roughly 12,000 students across 3 high schools, Henderson, Ruston, and East. The real draw is West Chester Borough itself, which is one of the genuinely great small downtowns in the Mid-Atlantic. Dozens of restaurants, a university that keeps the energy up, a beautifully preserved historic core, county courthouse architecture, and enough foot traffic to feel alive on a Tuesday night. Both townships also sit on the Route 202 corporate corridor, so plenty of people here work within 15 minutes of home rather than commuting to Philadelphia. Add in the Chester County Trail Network, some of the best preserved farmland in the region, and easy access to the Brandywine Valley for museums and gardens. And it is easy to see why people who move here rarely leave. It is worth planning for Chester County's property taxes, which are the highest in the state at a median around $6,308 a year. That number funds the schools and services that make the area what it is, and knowing it going in helps you shop with clear eyes. Number 2. Hampden Township in Cumberland County. This is the entry that surprises people. Hampden posts 2 violent incidents per 10,000 residents and 24 property crimes per 10,000 across 35,576 people, making it the largest municipality in Cumberland County and one of the safest in the state. Both figures fell year over year, and there were no robberies in the reporting data at all. On raw safety, only one place beats it. The median home value is about $262,100. Put those 2 paragraphs together and you have the best value in Pennsylvania. Hampden's safety numbers sit right alongside townships that cost 2 and 3 times as much. Median household income is $105,434. Poverty is 4.9%, and the cost of living sits near the national average instead of well above it. The schools are Cumberland Valley, an A on niche, one of the largest and highest-performing districts in central Pennsylvania, with the facilities and program depth that come with size. Pennsylvania's income tax also works in your favor here. It is a flat 3.07% with no brackets, and groceries, most clothing, and prescriptions are exempt from sales tax. On a central Pennsylvania cost of living, that leaves a genuinely comfortable margin at this income level. The employment base is the Harrisburg Metro, state government, the Pennsylvania Department of Corrections headquarters, major healthcare systems, and Naval Support Activity Mechanicsburg nearby. Those are steady employers that do not pack up and leave, and that steadiness is a big part of why the township looks the way it does. 10 to 15 minutes to Harrisburg, restaurants and parks throughout the township, and a comfortable, settled feel. Central Pennsylvania also puts you within a couple of hours of Baltimore, Philadelphia, and the Poconos, so weekend options are wide open without paying big city prices to live there. If your work is in government, healthcare, education, or logistics, or if you work remotely, the value here is hard to beat anywhere in the state. Number 1. Cecil Township in Washington County. Cecil has finished first 2 years running, and it is not close. 3 violent incidents per 10,000 residents, 22 property crimes per 10,000. Across a population of 15,206, the reporting data for the year showed no burglaries, no rapes, and no murders. That is one of the cleanest crime profiles recorded by any municipality in Pennsylvania. Median sold price ran about $360,375 in the most recent full-year data, with listings near $375,000. Washington County's typical home value overall is closer to $209,000, so Cecil sits at the upper end of its county while coming in well below the North Hills and dramatically below Bucks and Chester County. Median household income is $105,303. The economic engine is South Point, a corporate park inside township limits that houses energy sector offices, company headquarters, a golf course, and the training facility the Pittsburgh Penguins use. That matters more than it sounds, because it means Cecil is not purely a bedroom community. There are jobs here. Some residents have a 5-minute commute, and the commercial tax base takes pressure off homeowners. Schools are Canon-Macmillan, in the B+ to A- range, with roughly 62% math and 72% reading proficiency. The district also serves Canonsburg and North Strabane, so it has the enrollment to support a full slate of programs. Washington County also sits outside Allegheny, so the extra sales tax percentage does not apply and property assessments run lower. What Cecil looks like is new. New subdivisions on former farmland, wide roads, young families, and playgrounds that were built in the last 10 years rather than the last 50. Canonsburg and North Strabane are right next door for shopping and dining, and Pittsburgh is 20 to 35 minutes up Interstate 79. It is growing quickly because people keep discovering exactly what the crime data shows. If you are buying here, get familiar with the township's development plans, because a place adding this many rooftops is a place where roads and schools are actively being expanded. That is a good problem to have. At $360,000, the safest township in Pennsylvania is a lot more attainable than most people assume. Cecil is not a compromise pick. It is the safest municipality in Pennsylvania. It costs less than the Pittsburgh North Hills, and it has its own economy rather than borrowing one from the city. That combination is why it has held the top spot 2 years running, and why the second safest place on this list, Hampden, sells houses at $262,000. The best crime numbers in this state are not sitting behind the highest price tags. Which town in this list is your favorite? Comment below. And if you want more videos like this one, give it a like and subscribe.